So you've killed Act 10 Kitava. Now what? Step 1, fix your resists. Step 2, kill Uber Elder. Yup, just like drawing an owl, it's that easy. Memes aside, welcome to part 2. We've just killed Act 10 Kitava, and we'll be making our way to Eater Exarch for our first 2 Void Stones. And we have a big decision to make. Crit or non-crit? Non-crit is advantageous if we want to gear up and progress quickly, but is it viable? After some testing in Standard, I found approximately 485,000 Lightning Arrow DPS or 1 million Lightning Arrow Barrage DPS to be reasonable breakpoints to chase after that I could trust to provide decent clear and single target damage. A little bit more path of building, I learned that with a 600 elemental DPS bow and a 5 link with returning projectiles, non-crit might actually be viable for an Eater Exarch run. Now before we get ahead of ourselves, let's set up for maps. Using the extra items we stashed during story mode, we optimized our gear, fixing resists, and upgrading our damage if possible. For flasks, I like to run 2 life flasks on 1 and 2, a silver flask on 3, a quicksilver flask on 4, and either a mana flask, life flask, or utility flask on 5. Then, set up my inventory so I can map fast, and set up offhand leveling gems to Velorb or Flip at level 20. Once we're in maps, I focused on the following League mechanics: Essence, Betrayal, and Abyss. Betrayal has many important unveiled mods, but for the section of Act 10 Kitava to Eater Exarch, I find the 150 energy shield regeneration craft if a rare or unique enemy is nearby to be extremely impactful for survivability and against burst damage. I was lucky enough to unveil this mod with a chest from story mode, but if I didn't, I would spend 3 Atlas points at the start for focused investigation and 1 point for covert stakeouts. Immediately up next are Essences and Curak. After picking up Prolific Essence, we path through the Curak modifiers in the middle, selecting Commissioned Officer, Amplified Energies, and Crystal Resonance in that order. Additional chance for Curak missions speeds up Atlas point acquisition, and the Essence nodes allow us to burn maps and, well, collect essences to craft gear for a push into yellow maps and beyond. You'll want to use your first Screaming or Shrieking Essence of Wrath on a Thicket Bow, hoping for lots of flat damage and attack speed or an open suffix to craft it. Torment, Suffering, and Anguish essences are also particularly important to craft new rings, quivers, and amulets if necessary. It's also worth noting that without totems to taunt enemies, your experience with essences might alternate between "wow, I'm OP" to "yeah, my defensive layer is 6 portals." Abyss is selected next, and the level of investment depends on how many Abyss uniques you want to pursue. Darkness Enthroned is a strong consideration for our endgame belt, but during progression, I would be happy with 1 singular Stygian Vise and 1 singular Surging Eye Jewel. How hard could that be? Oh look, a Curak map with 3 abysses. I knew it would be easy. Alright, first trove. Alright, second trove. Alright, third, this mob's a little bit insane. You know what? I'll just get one later. It wasn't going to drop a Surging Eye anyways. Next map, how about this Dunes? It's just a shocked ground, boss damage, boss haste, bosses are possessed. Wait, I'm playing softcore. This is just a level 72 map. I'm actually OP.
That's 24% more damage on my ramp right now, baby. Let's fucking go. You love to see it, baby. You love to see it. And do it!
Okay, we need to upgrade our gear some more. With gear upgrades in hand and a 490 EDPS bow, we've pushed to a 3400 pool and 127,000 Lightning Arrow return proj DPS. A bit far from our damage goal, but just enough survivability to tank Quest Exarch. Uber Lab, a 5-link, and some levels are necessary to scale further. I invested into these Labyrinth Trial Chance nodes and shrines to zoom through maps and XP up. Depending on the day and the dark shrines you find, Uber Lab can be quite easy or very hard. 9 runs out of 10, it's a test of don't get hit. Pay attention to Azaro's slash abilities, avoid the barrage, and use your shield ground from Arctic armor to slow him down. An extra life flask for traps, combined with the Soul of Ryslatha minor Pantheon, and replenishing remedies will also make any trap section quite easy. Now Focal Point will offer approximately 20% more damage, which is nowhere close to enough, so we'll need to do a few more upgrades. As you just saw, after 1 million abysses, we were finally able to obtain a Searching Eye Jewel. We're looking to get double or triple damage modifiers, ideally lots of flat damage, but if we get life, energy shield, or a useful utility mod, there's no need to be picky. We've also 5-linked a 508 EDPS bow, which is unnecessary for our non-crit Manaforged setup. In hindsight, I perhaps should have moved my Stormrain links, but to avoid downtime, I quickly added a volatility support for a minor boost in damage. However, losing a gem slot also creates some socket pressure. Having to move my sniper's mark, I linked it with faster casting and tornado, a tried and true staple from story mode. And while faster casting felt great with tornado, the lack of automation via mark on hit was unfortunately quite noticeable versus rare monsters while mapping. With all these changes, gear upgrades and extra levels, we've upgraded our damage to 363,000 lightning arrow return proj DPS. It's not the 480,000 we were going for, but enough to progress ahead, and I'm willing to try it out anyways. Now, since gearing has essentially concluded, it's time to progress towards the pinnacle event. To inch closer and scale up the map tiers, we allocate the Wandering Path Keystone, forfeiting the effects of our Atlas notables, but in combination with adjacent map drop chance and additional Kirac mission chance, we can build a high level map pool quickly. Of course, before we get to the main event, we must take a pit stop at the Black Star and the Infinite Hunger. The Black Star's arena is split into 2 halves. Stand on the red half and get a stacking debuff, increasing the fire damage taken, but also reducing cold damage taken. Naturally, you'd want to stand on the red half versus cold abilities, and of course, stand on the blue half versus fire abilities. Easier said than done, I suppose. The Infinite Hunger, on the other hand, offers a different challenge. During the fight, you'll be teleported into a barren and ominous swamp, with no direction of where to go next. But if you look closely, you can observe the direction the sludge is moving, and follow along to make your way to the exit. Back in the arena, we allow our foe to foolishly chase us towards a wall, which in theory should allow us to do a bit more damage than usual. With the undercard battles out of the way, it's time for the main event. But first, you must prepare. In preparation for the Eater fight, I ran a Topaz Flask with gain charges when hit by an enemy, an extra life flask with shock immunity, and the Soul of Garukhan for 60% reduced effect of shock on you. And as expected, the fight was buttery smooth. Again, in preparation for Exarch, I ran a Ruby Flask and a Silver Flask with gain charges when hit by an enemy, an extra life flask with Ignite immunity, and the Soul of Abberath for 60% less duration of Ignite on you. I would say my battle with the Searing Exarch was also buttery smooth, but Exarch's arena also possesses an additional challenge. Some even say that this challenge is the real pinnacle boss fight. What is it, you ask? Well, it's quite simple. You just have to win a game of dodgeball.
Round 1. Fight.
Now only a perfect score would be acceptable. So I was determined to ensure that Exarch didn't receive even a single point. Easy point. But overconfidence can be a slow and insidious killer. For I quickly learned that round 1 was just the tutorial.
Round 2. Fight. Round 3. Fight.
With the match now tied, it was now down to the wire. Any misstep could be fatal. Like that one. Well, I lost the dodgeball match with a score of 2-1. Eater and Exarch were both defeated, 2 Void Stones were obtained. So how good was non-crit? Well, in 53 seconds we took down the boss's health bar by approximately 40%. Whereas in 3.21, as a crit build, we took 1 minute 14 seconds for the whole Quest Exarch fight. But it's not a 1-to-1 comparison. We weren't using Ballista totems, have a totally different playstyle with far shot instead of point blank, and don't have access to Crucible implicits. Still, how much better is crit? And what if I ran haste instead of anger, or used barrage instead of returning projectiles? To answer these questions, we'll have to fight a monster level 83 Searing Exarch, which comes with its own challenges. A 3400 pool would need to be upgraded to at least 3600 or more to avoid one-shots, and our passable 363,000 DPS would need some serious work to achieve the 485,000 goal. After evaluating my gear, passive tree and links, I had a plan. For offense, I would craft a spine bow, quiver, and amulet, and for defense I would focus on my body armor, exchanging life for energy shield, thus allowing me to take the 15% increased maximum life if there are no life modifiers on equipped body armor mastery. Additionally, by using a Shrieking Essence of Loathing on a helm or chest, we can add precision to our aura setup to solve accuracy issues. Let's upgrade our gear once more. Armed with knowledge, a whopping 624,000 DPS, and the determination to win the next match, the second battle began.
Round 1. Fight.
That may be, but I am not alone.
How pathetic. Round 2. Fight. Round 3. Fight. Blue team gains a point. Round 1. Fight.
That may be, but I am not alone.
How pathetic. 3. Fight. Blue team wins.
When reviewing the numbers, one could argue that non-crit with barrage support versus Quest Exarch in particular would have been fine. But an argument against it is that you'll need to swap to crit eventually, especially if you plan to progress further for the next 2 Void Stones. And even if you plan to stay in T16s, you're most likely not going to gem swap on every boss, and farming more efficiently is always nice. In conclusion, I should have listened to myself from my 321 run. If I was to do this run again, I would try to go crit much sooner, drop totems altogether, and test more Manaforged setups. Nevertheless, our hero's journey isn't over just yet. We'll be upgrading our character even further for the next challenge of Maven and Uberelder. If you're enjoying the progression style videos, you can let me know with a like, sub, or comment. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day, Exiles. Bye!